for tomorrow, right?
Yeah. But, yeah. Hello, Simon? Do you hear me?
How are you?
Perfect. Just wait a couple of minutes. I will call the person who is going to have this call. Wait.
Okay, Doug, are you coming on this call?
Sure.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Where are you today? I haven't kept up.
We're all in Bogota. Here's Doug.
Hi.
Have you guys actually?
Hey, Doug, how are you?
Is that Simon?
Yeah.
It is. Good to see you, Doug.
How are you, Simon?
Really good, mate. Yourself?
Very well, thank you. Our green lights behind us are probably a little distracting to you.
That's okay. It looks like Christmas.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like Christmas. That's right. So, where are you now? You're in New Zealand, where it is what time and what day? It's Friday at
11:30 in the morning. So we're probably a fair way ahead of you, I'm guessing.
And have you started your day?
So actually we've had a vasectomy week. I'm actually not vasectomizing today, but my colleagues are. So I've used my hands for the week now. I'm having a day to myself, which gives me a chance to talk to you guys. So
wonderful.
Busy week.
And your colleagues, meaning David,
and we've also got a guy called Luke who works with us as well. So we've got there's three of us now. So they're at it, but I'm having a restful day.
Were your patients aware that this week was kind of special?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of them were. We engaged with one of the national radio stations who did a promotion, and their morning DJ got a vasectomy with us, and we had a few. They sort of had a bit of a promotion with their listeners to sort of get the best vasectomy stories to get them a free vasectomy. So we did five vasectomies to publicize things through those guys, and that's good. I mean, New Zealand's a pretty small country, as you're probably aware. There's about 4 million people here, and most of the radio stations are national rather than local. So they're syndicated across. So it would have got a fair reach across the country. So that was.
Yeah, do you have any videos of those?
No, I haven't. No. It's probably some stuff online that I can probably find you the links from the radio station and send the interview stuff across to you.
That would be terrific. It would probably be audio only, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
But that'd be really fun.
Yeah,
we love it.
I'll try and track that down and link those across to you. But it was good fun. I mean, it's always nice when you get you get a bit of a buzz going for that sort of thing, and people enjoy being part of the story. And the radio station is sort of they made a big meal of it, in terms of making it seem a bit more like the guy was having panic attacks and that sort of thing. Some of the DJs. So they used it as a bit of a comedy thing. So it went well. Yeah. It was good.
Well, David, you may think, Simon, you may think that you're kind of small, but you're really pretty important on the world scene, because New Zealand has the highest vasectomy acceptance rate in the world. So you were always held up as a standard to which other countries should try to aspire. So, keep up the good work. And we mentioned you in my talk 2 or 3 days ago at the University of the Andes. New Zealand was mentioned repeatedly as if we're going to try to establish a 40% acceptance rate, Colombia, this is how far you have to go with your numbers, and you don't want those people down under showing you up, do you?
That's awesome. That is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm often asked, because our patients, that some of them are aware of it, and they go, why do you think it is that we have such a high acceptance rate here? Because the majority, I don't know if you understand the system. It's mainly a public health system over here. But that public health is limited to certain things, and vasectomy is not included in the public health system. Almost all of the vasectomies are privately paying over here. There is the country's split up into sort of 20 different health boards, they call them, and each health board has the option to purchase certain things for its region. So across the country, there are 3 of the regions have decided that they want to provide vasectomy for free of charge for their public, and then they've contracted us to do that. But in most of the country, it is self-funded. So given that most guys, I'd say probably about 95% of our guys have self-funded. The fact that we have such a high rate over here must be related to something other than funding. Now, I mean, cost wise, we charge 450 New Zealand dollars for a vasectomy, which I think it's about 2 to 1 with US dollars. So in terms of, so that, I guess that would be just over 200 US dollars for a vasectomy. And in terms of how that relates to the income over here, it's probably quite manageable for most guys. But even so, you've got to look at what other factors might be there to get such high levels. And I mean, I don't think anyone's ever done a study that has, I know you may be aware of more than I am, Doug, but a study that's find out exactly what it is that causes those high numbers. I've got some sort of anecdotal ideas, but do you have any ideas?
Sure.
What might be?
Sure. Really good vasectomy providers.
Yeah.
Don't undersell that. I mean, if you're treating the men with respect, you're making them feel special, you have a low complication rate and a high success rate. Vasectomy should sell itself. And all we have to do is provide the best service we can. And, one man is going to tell the other man that this is the best 450 New Zealand dollars that he ever spent. But again, if you hurt the guys, or if you don't show that you care after the process, or maybe give them a follow-up call or whatever is part of your protocol, you're just doing something right. And I think that a lot of the credit goes to you, especially. It's even so impressive that, you're getting such a high acceptance rate among men who have to pay for it themselves.
Yeah. I think I appreciate your comments. I think as well as the quality of the actual vasectomy itself, I think we certainly have got a process which is very streamlined for the guys. And being a guy myself, if anything gets slightly difficult, you tend to sort of put it in the too hard basket, I think. And so when I started doing vasectomies 20 years ago, the sort of standard process was, that the guy would have to go to his family medicine doctor, GP, get a referral to you. You'd then sit down, you'd have an appointment with him to talk to him about it. Then you book an appointment for the vasectomy at a later date, and these sorts of things. And what we've done is we find now that almost all of our patients are coming directly from just Googling vasectomy and coming directly to us rather than through referrals. So that's taken one lump out of the pathway. And then for the pre-op consultation, we actually provide that. We send them a video link to watch a consultation video. And then we have a follow-up phone call from one of our nurses to go through the rest of it and ask their medical history. And I should go back. Once they first phoned us, they're given the time and date for their procedure at that point, so they're able to sort of work forward to that. And I think that seems to, we get a lot of comments from guys about how it's just been nice that it's been so easy. It's just been a single stop. So I think that, as well as the quality of what you're doing, the quality of getting someone through the system, when vasectomy for a lot of these guys it's a commodity rather than a medical procedure. They want a certain outcome, and they want it to fit in amongst their work life and family life and everything else. And if you can organize that, I think that can help too.
So good providers and a streamlined process. Not to get too technical, but of these 3 regions, New Zealand's not very small. So if a man in a region outside those 3 is willing to drive to one of those regions, can he tap into those regional funds, even though his residence is not there?
No, so that you're given over here, you're given so basically a national health number, I guess, and that national health number, it also has your registered address on it. So we obviously have to bill on to the DHB, and if we don't give them the the national health number, or if we give them the national health number and the guy is not domiciled in their region, they won't pay for it. So, I mean, clearly someone could move house to get a free vasectomy, but that's probably a little bit over the top. There is also some funding through social welfare here. If you're in low income, you can apply to the social welfare office to pay for your vasectomy. So they would come to us, we'd give them a quote, they'd take it to the local social welfare office, and they would pay us directly. And that's certainly very available, but it is a little bit cumbersome. So a lot of people don't like to go through that process. So it's a strange thing, because over here, female tubal ligation is fully funded through the public system, and yet vasectomy isn't. I know.
It's just not right. It's the same here, even when we did Obamacare, it didn't cover vasectomy. It only covered everything for women, nothing for men.
Well, it didn't really cover it. What Obamacare did was it said that tubal ligations are not subject to the deductible. So if somebody has a health insurance policy and they have a $2,000 deductible and they haven't had any medical issues that year, their tubal would still be paid for. But if a guy wants a vasectomy and he has a $2,000 deductible and he's not received any services, he has to pay the allowable through that insurance company. And sometimes it's a reduced rate. Our cash rate is $590, and most of the insurance company rates are $450. So he gets a discount just by virtue of having that insurance. So it's to some extent. Is there any data on the per capita acceptance of vasectomy between those 3 supportive regions and the rest of the non-supportive regions?
There is, the only thing I've done, I did publish a smallish study on one of these regions. It was more based on looking at whether there was any increase in uptake in deprivation, in high deprivation or low socioeconomic groups. And also in New Zealand, we have a disparity in the quality of healthcare between the indigenous population, the Maori, and the rest of the population. And so there's a lot of work goes into try and improve the health delivery to the indigenous population here. Mm-hmm. And so I looked to see if we could show that if you do fund it within a region, you do get an uptake, a higher uptake in either Maori or the low income groups. And there was a trend towards that, but I mean, to prove anything in that would be was quite hard work. But as I say, it's published, and I can send you the link to the, because I'm sure you're not a regular member of the New Zealand Journal of Family Practice, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, but that would be great if you had that, because we had a big symposium on Monday at the University of the Andes, and we were kind of, it's sort of the job of World Vasectomy Day. One of the many jobs of World Vasectomy Day is to increase the communication between societies. We could call them vasectomy providers if you consider governments vasectomy providers, and try to share those ideas. What can Colombia do to have a greater uptake of vasectomy than other countries? And what inspires me even more about New Zealand is that what you just said, the tubal ligation is paid for. So there are these guys who are shelling out, $450 New Zealand dollars when their wives could have their tubes tied for free. And that is a really noble thing. You've got you've got really responsible men living there. And, that may just have to be something that you have to teach. But I think sometimes it's sort of fun to introduce kind of a competition. Like in Mexico, there's almost a competition between the vasectomists from different states, and the Mexican government has an annual meeting, and they have a lot of fun in just, we did this many per capita in Chihuahua, and we did this many per capita in Veracruz, and they make kind of a fun competition out of it.
Well, they come up with their own schemes for publicizing, and that's a competition. Who does the funniest things? Did you see that video where it's a singing video where one of the doctors is pretending to be the patient, but anyway, he sits up and sings some of the chorus, and they pretend like they're working on it. It's really a hoot. Millions of people saw it because it went viral. just because one of the teams, these are doctors that have time somehow to edit these videos and put together these really fun, silly, some of them, but good publicity.
Yeah. Really a lot of fun. And I'm just about to hit send to send out a, kind of a, we need your support sort of thing, but also a summary of what we're doing this year and some of my links to some of these videos. And even if you click just the first link, it's kind of an inspiring video, and you can see how the skill, the filmmaking skill and organizational skills of Jonathan Stack are really changing the world. He is just such an inspiring fellow, and organizationally, organizationally, he surrounds himself with people with organizational skills like Deidre, and here in Columbia, Mafe, and creative skills like Nicholas. So you've heard the old expression, the key to success is to surround yourself with competent people. And I think Jonathan is very good at that and inspiring the best in people who are working with him. So, for one guy, it really, now maybe I'm a little more focused on him. He may not be, the filmmaker like George Lucas or one of the famous people who, or he maybe no David Attenborough when it comes to, to rise to those levels. But boy, in our world, he sure has changed things a lot. So it's really fun to be part of the movement, and his willingness to communicate, and he's sort of a connector. So just by the fact that we're talking and someone in New Zealand now, we'll be talking to Nick Demaduke in Australia in a little while, I guess. Shortly, yeah. So this whole concept of bringing the world together to promote responsibility among men in family planning is really a success.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's been, I don't know, it's probably been a sort of 5 or 6 years since I sort of first became aware of the group and everything, and the connections between all of us has been fantastic. It's been invaluable to the service we can deliver. So I mean, and if that's stemmed from yourself and from Jonathan, I mean, it's been just from our point of view, it's been fantastic. So I can imagine for everybody else in the rest of the world, it really does help us deliver the quality service. So we're really appreciative.
Yeah, and anytime you want to, meet personally, you're welcome to fly over for the International Vasectomy Ski Seminar in late January. Yeah. Jonathan will be there, and Nick will be there, and a lot of other folks. Yeah. So if you like sliding down hills or just hiking in beautiful scenery, I mean, you've got more than your hands full of it down there. But we'd love to have you, and you're pretty close to the Philippines. So if you ever get inspired to jump up to the Philippines and spend some time up there with us during one of the missions, it's all on the NSVI website. So we'd love to have you.
That would be fantastic. Thanks.
We're going to impose ourselves on you when my wife and I finally get down to visiting New Zealand one of these days.
Excellent. Well, Michelle's been here, and I think he enjoyed his trip, so it'll be good.
And my associate, John Curington, has been down there. John,
that's right.
With Sarah Miller, I think, a while back. He may have spent time with David. I forget whether he spent time with you.
I think he did. We couldn't get a time that suited him and I, but I'm pretty sure he saw David on his trip around. Yeah. So well, you're always welcome, Doug. Just let us know.
Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind is because I think we, and getting a little tangential and using too much of your time, but I think we pollute the environment with millions and millions of sterile gloves that we don't need to be using. And that if we wash our gloved hands with the same thing that we wash the scrotum with, it makes perfect sense not to use all those natural resources and fill our lands with them. So I don't know how we're going to get involved with that, but I think we're probably going to hit you up someday with to be a little bit more proactive in that direction, and maybe even document your infection rates and be willing to come out and say, hey, we don't use sterile gloves and our infection rate is 0.1%. And maybe that will be the springboard from which somebody else in some other country abandoned sterile gloves and all that use of latex and pollution of our environment with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because we have sort of talked about this before. We decided we're going to collect, because we wanted to collect the data. The way we were collecting the data on infection maybe wasn't robust enough. So we've been doing it for over a year now. So we're about to audit about a year's worth of vasectomies with non-sterile gloves and an infection rate. So that should be around about 3,000 vasectomies in that time. So I think that's the numbers from that should be good enough at least to sort of publish and get something, get the ball rolling with that. So once we
Simon, once you do it, we have a baseline from which we can do our own studies, probably without what's it called, an ERB? IRB, an institutional review board, and which requires tremendous stuff. If we just say, and I think that if we've got one published paper, you are going to send waves throughout the vasectomy world when that paper comes out. So don't lose interest in publishing that, please. That'll be a tremendous contribution on your part to the vasectomy world, and then maybe beyond.
Yeah, no, because we had some figures, but I just wasn't happy enough that we were truly, as best as you can, obviously, with the loss to follow-up that you get after vasectomy, that we were, getting the best idea of what we would call infection. Because clearly as well, you have guys who just experience a bit of increasing discomfort day 3 or day 4. They'll get given an antibiotic, but actually, were they an infection or not? Was this just an post-inflammatory response? And so I wanted to be able to categorize which one of these groups were, if we were going to look at publishing that, to make it at least a bit more robust. So hopefully when we run the figures, they'll be quite reassuring. But I'll share, if you don't mind, I'll share it with you before we look at publishing, because I'd like to be interested in your input on it anyway.
That's good.
David, thank you so much for taking the time. You were just wonderful, and always are, and look forward to meeting you personally someday.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you. Take care.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.